All right, hey everybody, this is Akil's last game from the Benjamin Franklin Open. It was yesterday, December 22nd. We are recording from our luxurious apartment slash homes. And yeah, we're here to recap the last game. We're continuing with the no engine recaps, and but we'll have the game review at the end for everyone to see. Okay, Akil, how are you feeling going into this last round?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. In 3 out of 4 at this point, four-way tie for first. Both the 3-0s are playing each other. All the 3-0s are playing each other on the top two boards. I already drew the highest rated guy in the section previous round. I'm feeling all right. I have the black pieces here, so gotta just stay solid, which kind of sucks in the game that like a win probably seals it or undisputed first. But hey, we gotta do what you gotta do. A draw definitely gets me money, and even a loss probably might, but obviously don't want to do that. So
No.
I haven't lost a game this tournament so far. So I'm playing probably 13-year-old Russian kid, as you can see by the name. I find that he's a provisional 1372, so I'm already kind of terrified. But
Naturally,
he opens
naturally.
up with E4.
Yep.
I play Sicilian defense C5, knight to F3, pawn to D6. And he obviously, there's a few options here. You have the delayed Alapin with C3, bishop B5 check. You have knight C3, and you have the main line, which is D4. He goes with the Moscow attack, so bishop to B5 check. Already faces in my round 2 game. Played some bad moves. I mean, obviously this is the same position we arise at, and yeah, Russian playing the Moscow attack makes perfect sense.
Dude, I
Uh,
remember my
okay,
opponent came late to the round, and I looked at your board and he played the Moscow. And I remember you saying like why is everyone playing the Moscow? No one's playing the Night Orb. And I was just
yeah.
laughing to myself because there's another Moscow variation. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, the Moscow just seems to be the meta at like a really high level. And not that that really matters here, but it always seems like people try to replicate what top players are doing. So if something becomes a meta like the high level, it almost just
It
becomes
trickles
the
down.
meta at any tournament level
Mhm.
at that point. Because all tournament players are watching chess, right? And it becomes the same thing where like the whole D4, knight f6, and then C4 E6 with the Nimso being super popular. Like most people don't even like playing the Nimso with black. They just do it because top players do it,
That's funny.
right? And like the whole thing about top players not playing the Queen's Indian anymore against 3 knight f3, you're playing B6, like, and then start playing D5. You know how many people I see play knight f6 E6 just to play D5 no matter what, just because they
I,
want to play in the cool way. I
I
do that too, but like I just find it kind of cool playing knight f6 instead of D5.
yeah, that's funny.
It just
Anyways,
seems more sophisticated.
yeah.
But anyways, sorry.
We got that out of you. You were thinking about
Yeah,
that.
I've been thinking about this for a while. The Moscow variation, basically the entire point, as I understand it, which is not very well apparently, is to trade off the light square bishop, or you're gonna drop it back, arguing that the knight's misplaced on d7, which it is. There's two lines here. There's bishop d7. There's bishop d7. There's knight d7, and there's knight c6. I think also.
Yeah,
Obviously, you probably shouldn't block with the queen, but you could do it if you want to.
true.
Um, and then white's typically going to strike immediately with d4, so they have an open Sicilian position without a light square bishop. Which a lot of the times your light square bishop is supposed to be like almost like a hindrance because you almost have to find a way to put it, which is what it is. So he castles here after knight d7 castles. I play the move h6, which is this pretty much the same exact move I got in my first position for first game of the Moscow Tech this tournament in the second round. But in that game, he didn't castle. He played knight to c3, which I guess doesn't really change my plan because if the bishop doesn't make a decision instantly, we have to force it to make its decision. Are you gonna take my knight, or you're not gonna take my knight? Take my knight. I'm happy. I bishop. You don't take my knight. Cool. You wasted tempos with that check. I got a6, b5 coming in soon, and we're very happy. And in this position, he goes bishop back to e2,
Oh,
which is perfectly fine move. I know that for a fact. It's always weird to me when people play stuff like this, but it doesn't matter. Knight to f6 is played by me,
yeah. To
and then
my eyes, as someone who doesn't play the Sicilian and doesn't play the Moscow variation, like I would if they do take on d7, then I would think, oh, maybe they're gonna rebuild on the light squares with D3. But if they go back to E2, now I'm thinking, okay, they're almost 100% going to go D4, or I expect them to go D4.
Yes.
Anyways,
So it's almost like the concept I would, as far as I understand it, which I haven't looked at too many Moscow lines. It's going to change now because I've seen it twice. I've seen it 3 times in rated games. Um, First time as a one-off. Now I guess a lot of people are playing it. But the main idea is sort of like the Grand Prix attack, where you chuck your light square bishop for something, and then you're immediately going to strike with D4 regardless, instead of rebuilding, because you almost want the open Sicilian position. But typically, you wouldn't castle that early.
so
At least that's how I understand.
you're saying your opponent castled earlier than you expected.
Yeah, but I think this is also, he's already shown his hands. He doesn't want to go castle long, I guess. I mean, I'm sure you could. I don't really know. Again, haven't looked at the lines too much, but I guess in this position, there's very little risk for me. So in this position, he plays knight to c3, which immediately shuts down the c3 d4 expansion idea, which I thought he was going to go for. I guess that also doesn't really work because the e-pawn's hanging.
That's true.
So
That's true. He just wanted to defend
limited
his pawn.
options. Obviously, I'm preparing for d4, so I play the move e6. He strikes with d4. If pawn goes to d4 and you're playing a Sicilian, you take it.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Knight takes. I thought queen takes was okay here.
Yeah, it probably is, honestly.
And queen takes might even be better since I can't hit it with anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for the pawn, which that just seems stupid.
I mean, you would have to make sure that you don't do anything stupid on this diagonal because, d5 and bishop c5 could always be a thing with the knight guarding it. But as long as you don't do anything stupid, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Let's hope 1400 doesn't blunder that. But
anyways.
I mean, yeah. So knight d4, bishop e7. Just preparing to castle.
Yep.
He plays bishop e3.
Yep.
Fair enough. Is he gonna? I'm assuming f4 something's coming soon, so I castle. I'm not really scared about f4 because I have a pawn on e6. So if anything comes to f5, we just kind of take it. Take knight e5. We're kind of just chilling. I mean, bishops have some power, but like even knight e5, knight g6, I thought was somewhat fine, and nothing bad was happening. But he plays castles. I play castles. He play h3.
Okay.
And I make a critical oversight with spending 0 time. I play the move b5.
b5. Yeah.
What I forgot to think is, what are his pieces going to do? So my threat in this position is fairly obvious, but easily stoppable. It's b4, knight e4. Right? I forgot that the knight captured there, and typically in these positions, what's it called? Your knight is not on d7, and the knight or if your queen is on c7. And he spends about 35 minutes in the tank.
Which is crazy.
And I was walking around not thinking, like, even in my head, like, this is just, like, inexcusable. I mean, obviously he's calculating knight c6, and he looks for so long. I'm like, he has to be calculating something. He's just not thinking for very long, because every opening move he's taking 1 to 2 minutes, which you probably shouldn't really do, because they're just like, the moves. And then as I see, I'm like, what's he calculating? I'm like, oh my god, I might have just lost the game on the spot.
Yeah, like it's not like it loses material. At least it doesn't look like it does. But giving up your dark square bishop for this knight usually not good.
Yeah, I thought I'm in my head. I was like, oh, is he calculating a sack on b5 or something?
that would be so random.
I mean, because sometimes that happens, but typically the king would still be in the center. It'd be a knight orf. But I guess this is almost like a knight orf because he never traded off the light squared bishop. But plays knight to c6. I realize he's gonna do this. My hand's just in my heads at this point. Yeah, he plays knight to c6. I play queen to e8. Only move. And then, we double down on our mistakes because he plays bishop to f3.
Bishop to f3.
I'm sure he's looking to take and then just play d5 and pick up the.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't really work because of knight d5. I just lose a pawn, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm already just distraught after this point where I kind of just like let my mistakes let me and just collapse. So I play the move e5, which is horrific
Whoa, that is an
because
ugly looking move.
because knight d5 ends the game on the spot. Knight d5, queen d5.
Oh, queen d5 instead. Oh, yes. That makes sense.
What do I do? Bishop e7, knight e7, queen e7, queen b7. I'm down a piece.
Yep, indeed, indeed.
Um, F pawn can't even move or do anything. The rook's trapped because the bishop on e3 holds a7, and the b8 square is held by the knight.
Yes, yes.
Um, and my best alternative is if you go back a couple moves after the knight lands on d5, I have to go bishop d8,
Bishop d8.
and then just knight f6,
Yes.
and then queen d6.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot this diagonal isn't
No,
open.
no, 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 no! Don't take the bishop. Queen d6.
Ugh. Wait, after this and this, yeah,
Yep.
queen d6. Yes, 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 yes.
And this is like literally just like resignable. Like
Yeah, it's crazy. There's two bitches being on the back rank like this.
because what happens? Like let's be completely honest. Like no matter what happens,
You're gonna lose this pawn too.
he just takes on d8 and takes on e5. It's like
Yeah.
and then okay, I mean you can go back to the original position. We already talked about this blunder enough. This is just horrific for me.
Yeah, I actually didn't hear you
I
talk
mean,
about it too much yet. But wow, I actually did not know
yeah,
this game went like this.
yeah, and then like oh my god, because I think 95 here is probably my best choice.
Yes, I agree. 95, and actually, like, it's
And I was like, oh, we're not going to play 95 because of the pawn structure. And I thought Bishop F3 was stupid. And then I just countered his stupid move with an even dumber move.
I don't think this is like the most horrible thing in the world. It's not pleasant, but
I don't
hey,
think it's bad
like,
because just Queen C6, Bishop B7, Rook D8. I control the open files.
hey, your
You
double
complete pawn
pawns, your
structure.
double pawns are hard to target. Actually, like it's not doesn't seem that much of a weakness,
Yeah.
and actually restricts.
And I thought about that.
Yeah,
And I have like a really bad poker face when I'm playing chess.
that's funny.
So you knew I blundered if you walked by that board. I was like, my head was like in my hand, just like holding it. And the only reason I'm making that reference is because I remember watching the Champions Chess Tour a couple days ago, and then he was talking about MVL when he blundered. It was like, dude, oh my god, it was just like in his face.
That's funny.
Like, bro does not have a poker face. I was like, I realized that he blundered before I actually saw it on the board,
Yep.
and I thought that was very funny. But this didn't happen, so I
Sad.
guess we go back to the original
Yeah,
position.
I can't.
And in this
yeah.
position, after no,
I guess it's just it's like a case of tunnel vision, honestly. Like you think to yourself, okay, 95, the pawn structure, I have double pawns, that's bad. Double pawn's bad. But you don't think about like, well, what else do you have? You're like, oh, maybe I have e5. And then like you're just too focused on the fact that like you just completely miss how good knight d5 is when you're calculating. So, but you definitely shouldn't be missing that type of stuff. You're definitely better than this. I mean, you don't usually
yeah. Oops.
well, honestly,
I
like
mean-
I would say like e5 is more excusable than b5, allowing knight c6 in the first place. Like, honestly,
Yeah, I mean,
the first
yeah,
one
I
is a
know,
bit
like-
less excusable, even though this one is not losing any material. But
Typically, I'd have a queen on c7 first, and I was gonna do it. I should have put my queen on c7 and then just done that.
yeah, just like use 7 instead, and like you're chilling like you said.
I was like, oh, b5, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, b5, bishop b7, we'll target the e4 pawn, and I'm just thinking like very fancy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you're
I didn't even like finish my development completely.
yeah, you didn't fully consider all your opponent's moves.
If you like, let's say if he doesn't play that, let's
Yeah.
just say if he plays like b5 f3, queen c7, bishop b7,
Either way.
queen d2, bishop b7, completely fine. This is like a knight or setup. Like this is a Scheveningen setup because there's no bishop on g5, but like this is completely fine. Rook's gonna come to c8, rook's gonna go to e8. Nothing wrong with this.
For sure.
This is kind of what I was just playing for. But and then knight c6 was like inexcusable blunders. But
Anyways,
I guess yeah, and then okay, so yeah, b5, knight c6, queen e8, e5, knight d5 did not happen. In this position, he picks up the c6 knight. And guess what he does with it?
I assume he takes the bishop.
Oh,
What do you mean he didn't take the bishop?
he plays knight to b4,
Knight to d4. Oh, he wants
and
he wants to double down on the d5 square, I guess.
then the biggest sigh of relief ever.
Yeah, that's how.
I was like, bro, I got so close to finally doing something good at a tournament, and like, cause if he found knight d5, it sounds bad. I might just resign on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely very bad. I mean, you probably play out the moves very quickly, and at least I would, and wait till
Yeah,
he's
I
up a
probably would
piece.
play bishop e8 just so bishop d8 just so he knows I see it,
Yeah,
or whatever. But like, he plays this. I play bishop to b7.
bishop to b7. Nice.
Knight bd5.
Knight b d5. Wow. So he really just
Knight.
he really thought about. I think I know his thought process. I think I do because
It's
he
just getting another knight on d5. Yeah.
yeah, well, not on d5, but he thinks like, okay, he looked at your bishop and he's like, do I want to take on that? And he's like, he's just thinking about this knight versus bishop trade. He's thinking about this trade, and he's like, you know what? No, my knight is better than his bishop, so I should not trade. Instead, I should reroute my knight back to b5 or back to b4. So I planted on d5, and now I really secured the d5 square. You have a backwards pawn. I can put 2-3 rooks on the d file. That's forever a weakness. Your bishop's always bad for the whole game. And he's like, man, like I can definitely imagine how he's reasoning himself. And he's like, okay, and instead of playing knight takes e7, I'm going back to b4. He might have not even like thought about knight d5. He might have not even thought about it. Honestly.
I think he saw it because I talked to him after the game. He just didn't see how strong it was.
Okay, yeah, just misevaluating it, right? Like he just
yeah, which is crazy to do because it's a very very forcing line.
yes, if it's forcing, you should calculate it. Yeah, that's like the general rule of thumb. If it's forcing, you should calculate that. Anyways,
but hey, I'm not complaining about him. So,
yeah.
So knight d5.
Yeah, knight d5, knight d5.
Yep, knight d5, bishop d5, queen d5. I guess I'm just kind of anything. If anything lands on d5, forced to take it. Queen coming to d5 is not the worst case scenario because queen can always be kicked. Knight to f6.
Yep.
And then queen drops back to d3. Okay, and then this position, I'm fine.
I love how bad his light square bishop is. Like the reason why you're
doesn't really matter because it can always reroute.
but where, bro, dog? Like
yeah, bishop f3 definitely seems short-sighted in the sense that like unless I just blundered and just dropped my rook.
Yeah, I agree. I think for him, yeah, bishop
just e2, f4, bishop e3, something like that.
I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't seem horrible because there's not much going on in the position right now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, it's nice how this bishop is definitely not putting any pressure on your position. Like this,
no, the bishop pair is not felt.
Yes. Anyways,
but after queen d3, I go queen c6 because it's not like I have to worry about the bishop because it's never opening. Queen c6 just looked at the f square. He goes bishop g4 here.
g4.
Wait, what?
Bishop g4?
Bishop g5, sorry. Bishop g5.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
if that happened, I would have just taken it.
Bishop g5. Okay.
Yeah. So bishop d4, rook f.
Man,
rook f8.
this guy knows that he's supposed to control the d5 square. Like I think in this game, like he rerouted his knight because he wanted to control the d5 square. He's playing bishop d5 because he wants to trade it off and control the d5 square. This guy knows. Control the d5 square, and he is carrying out that plan at all costs. He's like, I'm gonna control the d5 square now. Like that's my impression of this game because like he is really hyper focused on controlling the d5 square. Like I've never. It's kind of entertaining.
At this
not
point,
that it's bad.
Seems a lot less like it matters because he never castled long and he's not really attacking.
Yeah, and
Right.
I with bishop g5, it looks like he wants to trade the bishop for the knight, and now it's going to be
exactly what he does.
Oh yeah. So what do you do? Rook fd8.
So rook fd8, bishop f6.
Okay.
And honestly, that's essentially a draw.
Yeah,
right there.
that is a draw offer. that is a draw offer.
I play bishop f6. He plays c3.
Okay.
That's not even a move, bro. Rook ac8.
Rook ac8.
Plays a3.
Okay.
They were both just staring at each other at this point. I played Rook C7 just to make a move.
I don't blame you. And he could play Bishop G4.
Rook FD1.
Rook FD1. Rook FD1. Okay.
And then I played Bishop E7 and all for a draw.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, I'm just like,
Is he really gonna
I
play
can't
this
be
out?
better. I can't be better in this end game.
No,
I
like
also can't be worse.
well, I mean, you could be because you have a backwards pawn. You could be, but
But
it's
it's like
not
the
very
bishop just
relevant.
sits there, and White's bishop doesn't have any good squares.
Yeah,
And if his bishop tries to go to G4, I just go G6, H5, and kick it back out.
yeah. Like honestly, as white, like the only idea I have is I want to create a pawn break somehow. Maybe H4 or A4. I mean, maybe A4, maybe C4, maybe dropping the bishop here and then playing
Oh,
F4.
if A4, he has to take me. I'm not taking.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like even then, I thought after Bishop G5, if he takes, he's trading the opposite color bishops willingly, and we just kind of looked at each other. It was like, all right,
Yeah, yeah. You're not in danger, that's for sure. But
yeah. I'm like, I survived my stupidity in the opening.
it's crazy how quickly the game died out.
Yeah, and I thought actually that's what I did very very well this tournament is just like get out of bad situations unscathed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it takes a little bit of luck and a lot of
Yeah,
hard work, right?
yeah. No, my second round game, I just dropped the pawn because of like a 2 move blunder, and then like consolidated very quickly, got to a pawn down theoretical draw rooking him, and held it effortlessly. This game kind of just consolidated, and then I was just like, oh well, and offered a draw. He instantly accepted it. I vaguely said a couple words to him about knight d5, and he was like, oh yeah, and then just like was like, wow. But yeah, I mean, ended the tournament 3.5 out of 5, 2 wins, 3 draws. I would argue this is my best result ever. And I would also argue that my opponent's ratings weren't completely indicative of their strength this tournament.
Oh, you think people were underrated?
Uh, yes, except for the first guy I played. I thought the first guy was around 1250 strength. I thought the second guy I played was around 1400 strength. Although I did blunder, but he didn't. He just seemed very like positional of a player, so he wasn't able to capitalize too much. And his end games were not the greatest because he asked the 2-on-1 rook end games completely symmetrical. He asked me if it was a draw after he offered a draw, so seems like he kind of. But he's a kid. It's
But
whatever. I
from my
guess
perspective,
he knows it now.
it
So
seems like
that's
people were generally accurately rated from my perspective, but I don't know.
really.
Yeah, it seemed it was mostly fine. Um,
I mean, I didn't think that because everyone gained like 100 points. It just like I've played 1300s before and like or like 1200s before, and typically like my games against 1200s are just complete blowouts. And I didn't think I was playing bad. I made a 1 move blunder, but like most of the times, like to be completely honest, I would beat a 1200 from a pawn down position most of the time. Granted, that was very very boring. I mean, that's just my overall analysis of it. I think this guy was about 1500 strength. Um, I think the
maybe.
guy I played last round was accurately rated. Fourth round. First guy I think was probably accurately rated. Second round I thought he was a little bit underrated. Third round was I thought he played a fine game except for just dropping a piece to a tactic. Very natural looking tactic actually, because he won all his other games. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're in that like middle class range of like class C ish area, like you're gonna there's a wide variety of players. Like some people just play really well, but then they're inconsistent and miss a random tactic or something like that. But otherwise they play like an 1800, except for that one moment where they play
Yeah,
like
no. I completely agree. I think that was me also as well. Like earlier, I think now I've definitely like finally like gotten the whole consistency thing. I think I made 2 bad moves this whole tournament, which are B5 and F4 in the second game, and I can live with that.
yeah, yeah. I yeah, that's a good sign. Like when you're getting bad positions and still holding or even winning, that's a really good sign for your chess.
Yes,
Although of
I
course you should
think.
not be doing bad moves, but still a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think overall, if I were to just put everything in perspective, Can't be mad about this result. I think I don't think 3.5 out of 5 is an overperformance for me, given what I know I can do. I think if I played to my ability this tournament, I would have scored 4.5. And basically that accounts for me not playing f4, and I think I should win that game. Against opponent of his skill level, I just thought I was probably, if I was equal pawns in the endgame, I could probably try to grind it out because his technique was a little bit shaky, but I was down to pawn, so you're not really playing for a win. And I thought this game, if I didn't blunder in the opening, I thought before b5 I was probably already equalized or even better or even slightly better.
Yeah, I mean maybe. I
And
mean
then you have a one move oversight, and it's like you're lucky to save the game at that point. It's like
yeah, I mean like if you're playing the game of what ifs, there's a lot of things that could have happened. Like you
yeah,
could have had two
no,
losses.
100%,
Like
yeah.
so, but it
And like I think consistency definitely improved a lot this
yeah.
tournament. I guess I can say spoil it because the results are already out. I went from 1416 to 1465. Um, Still quite a bit away from my peak. I think I'm finally like back in the groove of things, so I think I should get back to my peak fairly soon. I guess you can say we're playing what tournament we're playing
Yeah,
next
we're
week.
playing. Well, yeah, next I guess a weekend. Oh no, basically 2 weeks from now, we're playing
First
the
tournament 2025.
first tournament 2025. Yeah, it's the Pan American Intercollegiate Chess Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina, representing Shippensburg University,
Yes.
and it's January 2nd to the 5th. So that's gonna be exciting, and hopefully I play
Mhm.
better because I don't think I played necessarily bad. Um, but
Yeah.
I really missed the ball on this tournament, and hopefully I play better, and
Mhm.
hopefully you continue your success.
Yeah, I think obviously I think most of my rating loss these past couple months has been at quad time controls, which I just suck at for some reason. Don't know why. I can either play speed chess or like really slow chess, there's nothing in between. But I guess at Pan Am's is gonna be interesting because the Nathan's gonna be the board 2 on our team A,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna be the board 1 on team B. So
So you might play higher rated
um,
people on average than me, which is kind of funny.
yeah, which goes decently well for me until a point. Like the games itself won't be bad. It'll just be like you make one mistake and then you just get grinded down. You drop a pawn somewhere, you just get grinded down.
Yes.
And that's kind of why I was mad at myself for playing f4 because you play f4 against a 1900.
Yeah, that's not gonna carry, man. Like,
That's not good, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
you get punished for that.
Yeah, you're
And
gonna
it's
get
like
punished for
the
that.
main yeah, and then the main thing I had to tell myself this tournament, like when in my third game, I think too, when I won a piece, is like a piece blunder needs to be decisive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't just expect your opponent to resign. You need to convert that game. And I think out of everything I can be happy with, I'm most happy with converting that game
Nice.
like almost perfectly.
Good.
And I think first game was just me equal material, found a nice move to blow the position open, and kept pressure on the whole game if he eventually cracked. Second game is what it is. Third game, obviously piece blunder. Fourth game, draw against the best guy in the section. Not bad. Could have continued. Maybe just that's probably the best one to learn off of because not that much to change, except for finding a couple critical moves, and it was just pretty quiet position otherwise. And then last game, uh, I didn't do anything good. He just missed a shot, which I guess sometimes happens. You know, I've missed plenty of knockout blows. It's about time I get gifted something back in return.
That's funny. Yeah, the chess
But yeah,
gods.
that's about it. Yeah, so next tournament's gonna be a Pan Am's. We're gonna have 6 games each to go over, and then we'll probably play another tournament in January, Eastern Chess Congress February, and
I
then we'll see where it goes from
Yeah,
there.
we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, U.S. amateur team is hopefully if we can field the team.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yep, yep, yep. And yeah, we'll see. But I guess we'll hit the game review and call it a day. Cool.